we didn't get no vacation until 2015, 16. Yeah, last year. So we're going to be working, I don't know. This stage it don't have so actually it's not that I'm enjoying my vacation. But I know what it is because this had happened before. You know what I mean? But if it's one thing that's certain, it's the qadr of Allah. All of these things wouldn't happen unless they was for a reason. And the attitudes and the everything else. That is very important. So the biggest thing coming out of this for us is the resistance movement or leadership resistance. That we showing the people how leadership works and the resistance. That's our job. That's what we're doing. Okay, let me try to, The one thing I haven't mastered is how to just take my list and go right down the list and just don't. I'll get it down sooner or later. Resistance leadership in the past, exposure, education, inspiration, possibility in action. And it's an honor to participate in this. B, the resistance movement of North America. Developed flyers, 3 websites, resistance web, propaganda. In other words, we're going to really become professional on this part. We already have enough material. We can take this material and we will be cutting some of it down. We'll be remixing, like music, remixing. We'll remix various statements that coincide with each other, and that'll be CD number 1. We'll take the other mix, we'll look at the material we got for DVD. We'll do the same thing with, we got tons and tons of material. So during this period, resistance leadership means that this is not personal anymore. During these earlier periods, it was personal. It was for me. It was something I had to do. Because nobody else, no matter how much I asked them, nobody wanted to take that ride. And I asked some of my old buddies, I said, man, you want to ride with me on this? I was telling one of my friends, I hope I'm not telling our business, but I was telling them not long ago, I said, man, he said, I said, man, I'm sincere about this. He said, you don't have to tell me about sincerity. He said, remember when you got out of the joint before me? He said, no. He was telling me about one of our other partners. He said this guy was messing with my woman, and he always surrounded by tenders. So he said to one of our friends, I hope I'm not telling our personal business, but this is the point. So he says, I sent so-and-so to look out for my woman because there was some nigga stalking her. And he didn't shoot the guy, but I think he beat him pretty bad. That solved the problem. But he tells her, according to his, hey, they called me, he did a little pimping from time to time. They called me Big Black D, They're thinking maybe my partners, I want to service you maybe because I've been gone a while, and So they called me, and he Big Black Dick, He said, but when you went by at my house, he said, and I totally forgot. He said, when my woman left the room, you gave a stack of money to my little boy and told him, when I leave, give her the money. So there's no,
Hang back.
he said, you don't have to tell me about sincerity and all of that. In other words, hey man, I just ain't in that fight. I know, we all know what's happening. You know, we done seen you in all the crunches. And you know what I mean? And he used the word like honesty, sincerity, and all. He used those words. So, can you imagine these clowns that we got dealing with? It was necessary to go through these processes to show people, to show everybody. Now everybody knows, Oakland knows, the whole world knows. And the world knows a whole lot. Why? After what Dr. Kaleem Siddiqui, remember, you can imagine what Khadijah and Mukhtar and them were saying about me. I remember for years, I'm not saying nothing. Because I didn't even listen to their thing till 2 weeks ago. Because I didn't want what they say to have any influence on what I'm doing. Just like Mellow Yellow and them, I don't pay no attention to them until I get ready. Because I want to do what's coming out of my environment, not what they're sending to me. I ain't reading no mail that they sending until after I done did everything, then I'll open up, oh, this is 5 years mail, 10 years mail, old stuff. Okay, now I'll read it. Why ain't nobody called? If Dr. Kaleem Siddiqui says Imam Musa is the epitome of the best of all that's good, he said something like that, right? Good God Almighty. I was sitting there shocked. I said, oh, Doc, that's pretty big. We had to be friendly. He had to have confidence in me. Well, why everybody else start acting funny then? Something was going on. I couldn't have did that myself. I couldn't have arranged all of these things. I'm going to do this. I'm going to have him do that. I couldn't have did that. I mean, I could do all right. I mean, I could do, but I couldn't set this stuff up perfect. It's a lot. So, resistance leadership. Okay, so you all know, and I'm going to say it over and over again. Resistance leadership is something that we have to do, not something we've been canvassing for or running for Negro Muslim leadership. That's not, it's necessary now. And somebody to help re-galvanize the whole Negro movement. And you see around here, they got all these Negroes looking like Muslims around here. And the people, what are you doing? Why are you a Muslim? What the hell? Why are you a Muslim? For what purpose, right? This is a big deal. That's why we're slowing down on all, look, la tatrabu, no reproach on nobody, on Abdul Malik, on Mukhtar and them, no reproach on the immigrants. No reproach on Iranians. No reproach on nobody. You know why? Because we've already shown them. If it's Iranians, all the way up to the top, they know this nigga have called every shot since I know. That's already clear. Stuff that even, it's been coming out and we hadn't even made no mumbo jumbo about it, you know. I hadn't even said publicly about Uthmani, you know what I mean, Safavid, and what's the third dynasty?
The Mogul.
Mogul. I just wrote it down. I wrote it down, and I've been thinking, this is nice, and we get that up. There's no sign of it. It ain't no way it's going to happen. That time, Turkey is acting still crazy as they can be, right? It ain't no sign that the Negro is having social invisibility problems. I mean, it looked like he had problems, but we didn't know nothing about him. And then all of a sudden, why he come out with this article? They came out with that on purpose. They came out with that on purpose. What are we going to do? We're going to try to help everybody. Because look, anybody that can go through all this stuff, and you done went through, let's say, 50 changes, and one change killed everybody else. Everything I've been involved with knocked everybody. One punch dropped the dog. The other movements packed up and left, went down to South America somewhere. If you do that, what are you going to do in South America? You got to help Negroes, right? Okay. That gives confidence in many ways. It gives you individual confidence. But it also gives the other people, because remember, no matter what you say, everybody is watching. Everybody's watching. So, just like what we said in South Africa, Dr. Kaleem Siddiqui says, Imam Musa didn't explain stuff to us that we've been looking at all the time and know what we've been looking at. That's what this is all about. Some of the people are government agents. Some of the people are just colored. Some are just human beings. They ain't got no dog in the fight. They don't want to do nothing, but they just happen to not be in tune with the transitions for reality. Okay, we're going to try to speed up now. So resistance movement in North America means an alternative movement. Churches, synagogues, Masjid, all of that. Enlist others with confidence, clarity, and even talking points. This time we're going with everybody. This is not ours. So we're trying to, you know what I mean. We're trying to, this is for us. National War of Liberation, Sabiqun Liberation Organization, Sabiqun Liberation Movement, National War of Liberation. Did anybody watch the Vietnam program, all those series in Vietnam, Ken Burns? They were pretty good.
It seems like it's not getting. I remember you saying it was okay. It wasn't as good early on. It's not getting a lot of good publicity. People are starting to really criticize it for some reason.
For saying it's not.
It's
Not detailed.
Well, they don't portray Ho Chi Minh in the correct way, and you know this. It's been getting some.
Oh, it's got.
You know,
it ain't,
like it's got some holes.
It ain't by no means perfect, but you see where the U.S. have made error after error after error, where the government sends young people, black, white, and anybody else, to die in foreign wars over and over and over and over again. You see that? You see them shoot the kids down in Kent State. There's one part about that had been left out. We knew the professor was crying a lot, but we didn't know that the professor was crying, talking to the students, please, if you continue, they're going to shoot the rest of you at Kent State. You see, remember the white professor that is pleading with the kids, don't look, I'm pleading with you, I'm begging you. The other kids is laying on the ground dead already, 4 dead in Ohio. Y'all listen to what's the name of them, they do it good. Hey man, no it wasn't perfect, but it showed you probably the TV series Vietnam, the old one from back in the 80s, might have been just as good or better. The first one, Deja Vu, and the 6th one were good, Deja Vu. So all over again. It shows how colonialism entered into Indochina. And it also showed you, but not enough detail, Dien Bien Phu. Dien Bien Phu that was the transition point. I remember it on the news myself. I remember it very well. I didn't know where it was, but Dien Bien Phu, it must have been 8, could have been 9. But I remember it every day on the news for a long time. So here's the point for us, that they had segments where this North Vietnamese was talking about what they did, and they asked him, was it worth it? And he was saying something like, nobody that's been through that, the only people that talk about who won and who lost is the people that wasn't fighting. Because all of them lost all their comrades. You know, remember North Vietnam, they say lost 1 million people. South Vietnam, 250,000. America, 58,000, something like that. And then Laos and Cambodia also. Well, we knew all about that because the Golden Triangle is there. You know, where heroin, if you look at that back in the old years, the politics of heroin in Southeast Asia. But here's what I'm trying to say. When they had all of those interviews, there's no one person that you could interview about everything about it. The North Vietnamese side, South Vietnamese side, this side, that side, up here, down there. There's nobody that you could interview like that. But in this movement, if you want to talk about the black movement, the duck trade, what they use in it, I can talk about it in detail. If you want to talk about decolonization in Africa, I can talk about it in detail. If you want to talk about the black movement, I can talk about it in detail. You want to talk about the Islamic movement from each side, from the Negro, black man is God, devil, all the way up to Nafs al-Mutmainah, right? That's because of destiny. That's because of destiny. That's because of the system pushing you and shoving you and easing you. So when I'm sending cocaine up here, I'm studying German Mao Zedong, guerrilla warfare and all that. I carried selected works with me, volume 1 to 5. You know, Carlos's mini manual. All of those things I was studying while I was making money, and then they know you're making money for the movement, and you're taking money from South America back to Africa, but after a while, there's no more movement in Africa to take the money to because they quit. They quit at the right time. Everything is at the proper time. Prison for everybody else is bad. Prison for me is to rest and recuperate and to go over everything over and over and over again. And to learn more. The Quran says reflect. How much do we learn from reflection? How much do we miss if we're working hard every day and we never look up? We never reflect on that. Okay, so I'll speed up and move toward a close. National War of Liberation. That's what we're in. We're not in, it's a national war of liberation from our point. National War of Liberation means that we are struggling to release people from the domination of a satanic system. Our policy is nonviolent resistance. Our policy is kindness, humor, and optimism. We are not going to shoot anybody. We don't want to shoot anybody. That's why we say it week in and week out. So when I go out there and something pop up with Mukhtar and Khadijah, that's their problem. They're the ones that acted like they've acted. They're the ones that showed they behind to the public. They're the ones that everybody knows who's who. And people been paying, good God Almighty. Okay, so all we can say is la tatrabu. But whatever people do, that's their business. If they don't have enough sense to do some repentance or some stuff like that, then that's their problem. We have been as kind as we can to everybody. Nobody would have done that. Negroes are stuck in the middle of a war they cannot win. That's the says, but it has parenthesis, Oakland. They're stuck in the middle of something, there's no way they can win. We done already knocked Oakland. It's already every point that has been touched. All we're going to do is use it as a teaching aid. It's a case study for the past and the present, and a footstool to stand on to go to the next stage. Remember, we're going to the next stage. We've been in the next stage. We've been in the next stage for quite some time. But remember the question, will it be 80% ahead, 20% back? We've been talking about that for a long time. The other thing we've been talking about for 10 years is this is a done deal. Anybody remember that? It's a done deal. It ain't nothing. It's a done deal. All of this stuff is done. It's done. It ain't gonna make no difference who likes or what they can't cook up. If they can't go over the last 20 years of foolishness, if the CIA can't see that they have made and manufactured everything, they say, we got to make sure Iran does not have a foothold in the middle. A foothold? Why, you damn fool. You got Saddam there, that's the enemy. You got the Taliban over there that messed up. And it's okay, we take it easy. Here come old Sam. We're getting rid of Saddam. Hey, Taliban, we'll weaken you guys too. Iran don't fire a shot. Right? We told them that's 15, we told them in a lecture at the Hassanein Conference in California in 2008, we told them that. Everybody said, that's right. Iran hasn't fired a shot. And everybody loves Iran. And that ain't it. That ain't all. They're killing Shias all over the world, and the Shias are responding properly, non-violent. Have nobody in Bahrain, right? Have nobody in eastern provinces, and they're not playing with nobody. And think about it, nobody in Afghanistan. They've had a bombing now for the last, I don't know how many, all the time. So Shias have now became the object of sympathy, not hatred, in the Muslim world. Saudi Arabia, I didn't believe it was possible for nobody to be bad. But Saudi Arabia and America and the Zionists are the biggest fools in world history. Everything they don't want, they got it and they did it. Nobody did nothing. I mean, tell the truth, nobody did nothing. We don't want all these people in Europe. Well, how do they get there in Europe? Well, they go the war in Syria. I said, Syria, everybody was happy. They got outdoor restaurants. They was kicking back in Syria. You the one put weapons in the people's hand and told them, we're gonna get rid of so-and-so. You're the ones that told them he using poison. You're the one that lied. Then you got Turkey to help you, right? And before that, you done knocked over poor Libya, right? And made Chad poor and made everybody poor and broke down all relations. Security, you couldn't bring nobody to Libya and run them through here and there. The people in Libya was living fine. But now, all the people done left all them places because of the problems they started. And they going to their cousins who was complicit with them in Europe. EU means caves and hillsides, and the rope to bind them. That's what it technically means, but we'll just call it for now Europe. But Europe is not old Europe, right? Remember, that was a time when England was Europe, white. The British Isles, right? Ireland, they was white. It was a time when Germany was speckless white. You better not show any dark skin in Germany for a long time. Now they got many Negroes from Nigeria and everywhere else, and Muslims flooding Germany. And the Turks been there since when I was there in the early 70s. All the jobs, like Mexicans, come over and do the work. Turks been there now for decades. 20 years ago, 1 in every 10 students in elementary school was a Turk. That was 20 years ago. Forget about it now. Every problem they have in Europe, America and the Europeans did it to themselves. Iran is growing more and more and more powerful because it's fallen on the right side of everything. So it helps Hezbollah. That's great. Right? So it helps Iraq. That's great. Right? Okay, and I move toward a close. Us here in America, look, this is our destiny. Somebody had to do it that had a little bit of familiarity with Islam, a little bit of familiarity with world flow, not a little bit. Technically, they had to know how the world works and what pushing this button will do over there. That means if you push this button in China, how will it be reacted to in Vietnam and in Canada? You know why? You got to been to Canada to know how many Chinese there, what stage of development they are, what's their relations with Vietnam. You know, and at what time was this relations? You just have to have a feel for all of that stuff. That's why I feel certain about this heroics. Well, to tell you the truth, it's just true. We've been living a heroic life. Because if we went through something 50 times and one trip through that killed everybody else, you're just lucky. Allah had something for you to do. You ain't had nothing to do for yourself. You had some vague ideas. But Allah, that's why the Quran says, I will protect you from avenues you don't even know. When you sit back sometime at night just for you to go to sleep and you say, good God Almighty, it was 15 landmines right there at that time. And I just strolled on through. And then a couple of cats run through and all of them got blew up. You know, sometimes I think of life like the road runner them, you know, or the underdog them. Underdog them was walking down the way and somebody say, hey, underdog. Underdog turn around and the refrigerator fall right there. You see what I mean?
Road running coyote.
That's the way life seems like to me. Because don't nothing hit. Or if it hit, it glance off, or it bounce off the roof, or it glance off me and kill 3 police. You know what I mean? And bounce off a cloth hat and kill 20 police or something. 1 bullet. Hey, I don't know how it's all happening, but I know, and I'll close with, almost close. The Quran says, if you do my work in my way, I'm going to judge you by the best of your deeds. So they say you did it, dope dealer. That is what Allah says. Allah says, you get on the right road, young fella, and do right. And we ain't going to even, and I know everything. I don't like that out. Don't worry about them niggas. They can't put that on your record because their record is loaded. In fact, according to Hadith, they get out of line a couple of more times. I'm going to take all of their good deeds and put them on your stuff. And all of your bad deeds, which is considerable, right, on their stuff. And that the people don't realize that's what it's saying.
That's what he said.
So I don't be mad at none of them niggas. I be thinking, well, it's a chance, nigga. You up there spitting at me and talking, you know. It just might be you got 400, 500 good deeds. I may get all of them, and my 950 million bad deeds might be transferred over to you. Maybe, yes.
Then while you got an opportunity to be alive, you can repent. But
Yeah.
once you breathe your last, then what you're talking about is what's going to be end up showing up. And you don't want to be in that position in the next life, because that ain't no joke.
I will close with this. Dear people watching this, this is an honor and a privilege, and this is way, way beyond what I was looking for a long time ago. I thought, I didn't even have enough sense to dream it was big enough to have been born down in the country. Barefooted, we didn't get shoes till you started school. And to wind up 15 years later, one of the sharpest Negroes in the United States and having plenty of money, that was unbelievable. But that was just a transition period. You was there to get that, to let you know that you gotta go all the way. Cause just to have that, you're still a nigga. So you gotta fix the world. Do you know how good it feels getting up every morning and going to bed every night feeling like, well, I did a half a good deed today, that's not bad. You know what I mean? Might be able to get 2 or 3 in tomorrow. But I know one thing, I didn't consciously try to hurt nobody. Right? That's not bad. And the work, the last thing I'm gonna say, the Quran says what it says, dear believers. It really do. And I get to feel